Good old Chris Hedges. John Cusack reads Chris Hedges. Did you know that? John Cusack. He was in Con Air. He was in Being John Malkovich. And he was in that awesome movie with Amanda Peet and that other one guy. And then the other guy. It was a lot of good actors. Identity. Have you ever seen the movie Identity? Have you? Let's talk about Chris Hedges first, okay? So Chris Hedges just wrote this incredible article, and I'm just going to quote one part and then just kind of paraphrase what he had said with the rest of it. We must demand nothing less than full employment, guaranteed minimum incomes, full employment, guaranteed minimum incomes, universal health insurance, free education at all levels, robust protection of the natural world, and an end to militarism and imperialism. Earlier he was talking about why did Donald get elected, and he says that it's despair. It's despair. When you're invested in the society and you see the society going down, well, you get scared. And then you feel like everything's being taken away from you. So then you invest in a cult leader who promises this and that, and basically they're just a narcissist, and you put all your hopes and aspirations to the cult leader. You put all your hopes and aspirations upon the cult leader who doesn't give a damn about you, and that doesn't help the despair. It doesn't help the society. The country is going into a shitty direction. 77% are against the genocide. 75% are against the direction of our country and our society. So when they were talking about despair, I was kind of thinking about it would be the Democrats, the left, the liberals, the people that didn't vote. You know, those people are in despair. But then I started thinking that, well, maybe it's the Trumpers too. The Trumpers are the ones that are in despair, grabbing onto a cult leader because they see that their society is in decline. It's a bunch of reactionaries. So many changes are taking place. Oh me, oh my, let's vote for the fucking piece of shit galore. Hey, let's vote for the piece of shit galore. Donald wants to be a god. It's another part to the Chris Hedges article. And since Donald wants to be this omnipotent god, this person that is above everybody, and that's an impossibility, then the only closest alternative is just mass destruction, which is godlike, right? You won't be a god because you'll never get immortality. You'll never get unlimited absolute power. He does admire all these fucking... Putin's been a fucking dictator for the last 25 fucking years. Oh, man. Good old President Putin. So we got President Putin now, right? We got President Netanyahu, President Kim Jong-un. Emil Durkheim, he's talking about how we have a collective mood and an individual mood. So the individual mood is just the person and the individual, but then there's a collective mood. Emil Durkheim wrote on suicides. He's the father of sociology. And so you put all this stuff together. The Trumpers are feeling like they're losing their country, so they're in this despair. In a way, he was actually making a different argument, saying that you'll never get the Trumpers away from his cult leader. And so therefore it's up to everybody else. But I'm not so sure about that. Anybody that has an open mind, I feel pretty sure of like 95% of my thoughts, but I do have like a 5% that I keep open. I kind of like Elon Musk now. I kind of like Elon Musk because he stood up for Peanut. Don Jr. and J.D. Vance all stood up for Peanut the Squirrel and Mark Longo's plight. So, by keeping your mind open, I think that's a good thing. By keeping your mind open, you know, maybe you're not so fucking right about every goddamn thing. And you're not going to be very sociable if you think you're right about every goddamn thing as well. Nobody likes a know-it-all, I was told 20 years ago by a lady in Louisville, Kentucky. So despair. The Trumpers are despairing. They have their shitty lives and the shitty country, and the society is collapsing. They're not having a bold progressive agenda. They're not fixing the problems. Neither the Democrats or the Republicans. And so the Trumpers are grabbing a hold of a cult leader who doesn't give a shit about them, a narcissist, and all he wants to do is just do a bunch of massive destruction. That is very dangerous. So there is a lot of danger in that. But by understanding them, it's not to forgive them. To understand the devil is to know the devil in a way that either you could avoid the devil, fight the devil, or perhaps talk to the devil. Talk to him about some stories. Read him some children's stories. And speaking of children's stories, you have Death's Messengers. This is a grim fairy tale called Death's Messengers. And I'll just get to the end. Be still, answered Death. Have I not sent you one messenger after another? Did not fever come and strike you and shake you and throw you down? Has not dizziness numbed your head? Has not gout pinched your limbs? Did your ears not buzz? Did toothache not bite into your cheeks? Did your eyes not darken? And furthermore, has not my own brother Sleep reminded you every night of me? Death? During the night did you not lie there as if you were already dead? The man did not know how to answer. The man did not know how to answer, so he surrendered to his fate and then went away with death. Identity is just a super smart psychological thriller. It reminds me of Meet Joe Black and The Sixth Sense. I want to try to say a number of them, but Identity might be the best damn psychological thriller. I never really got into that one Leo DiCaprio movie. So by understanding that the Trumpers are feeling like there's despair, there's actually like legitimate despair, there's unemployment, there's economy issues, there's war, militarism, there's a whole bunch of things to be logically despairing about. But if you don't point to the actual problems, then you'll just blame the immigrants, you'll blame black folks, brown folks, poor folks, the Jewish folks. You'll just point to the Christians, to the damn Muslims. You'll just point to anybody and everybody. You'll just point to anybody and everybody, and you'll blame them. And then the fact that it's a cult leader, then there's violence right around the corner. So if the Trumpers are feeling despair, you got your cult leader, and your cult leader is going to fucking, now you got to govern, right? Now you got to lead the country, lead us all to the promised land. But a narcissist who gives a shit about himself and enriching himself and helping out his billionaire Wall Street cronies. Donald wants to be a god. That's impossible, so expect massive destruction. Emil Durkheim was talking about how there's an individual mood and a collective mood of sadness. And so to be well adjusted in a sick society is no measure of good health. Do not be well adjusted to a sick society, an individual mood and a collective mood. So if you have this despair and you've grabbed a hold upon a cult leader that's not going to solve your problems, maybe it could deflect, maybe you could divert your attention, divert your emotions for some time. But ultimately, you're a part of this collection, this collective mood that is in despair. And then there's self-immolation, there's suicidal, there's massive destruction, so it's just homicidal or suicidal. Where's the civil society at? Hobbes was all about the civil society. The state of nature just means that we have short, brutish, terrible, awful, poor, solitary lives. So we want to get out of the state of nature, we want to get into civil society. We got positive laws, so therefore we got to obey the Constitution and the positive laws. If we're just going to be a bunch of natural law, state of nature sons of bitches, it kind of makes me feel sorry for the Trumpers. It makes me feel sorry for the Trumpers because if you're holding on to a cult leader, I feel like right now I got to buck up, Buttercup, and get a spinal cord and start organizing and start reaching out to people. Kind of do some introspection. Do what the Democrats and the Republicans never fucking do. Do some introspection. Myself, my own relationship. My own relationships with the rest of the world by thinking of the Trumpers in this sense where they feel like they're losing their country or society is going in a different direction that they don't understand. And by having this collective sadness that's going to be bent on massive destruction, well, we do need mass movements, sustained acts of civil disobedience and mass movements. But for what ends? And I think for the end of a brand new constitution, we need a constitutional convention. We need to rewrite the Constitution. I love the Bill of Rights. I've actually, by destroying the Constitution and Bill of Rights, I've came back to it, and now I've fallen in love with it. I like the First Amendment, Second Amendment, the Third Amendment kind of implies the right to a home. I love the Fifth Amendment. I love the right to a grand jury indictment. And the reason why I love the right to a grand jury indictment, because it brings back the English common law, which is a whole host of shit. A lot of it is just dumb shit. But there's a whole body of law that was there that survived the Roman Empire that we had inherited from our English fucking brethren. And we had carried that on into our own Constitution. Also, the U.S. Constitution was in the era of the Enlightenment. So the Enlightenment, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, all these people are part of the Enlightenment. And who spoke about justice? Muhammad, Jesus, Martin Luther King Jr., and James Madison. He says it's justice is the end of civil society, it's the end of government, and then justice will be pursued until liberty is lost in the course of gaining justice. Justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and in order to get peace, that's not the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. So let's do a couple of asides here. The Onion has been just fucking kicking ass. Nation is trying, okay? God. You know, additionally, son of a bitch, 67% of Americans reported. Jesus. Sources confirmed. We're doing the best we can here, for Christ's sake. Oh, you think you could do this better? Why don't you cut us a little slack for a change instead of just shitting on us at every opportunity? We all can't be fucking Dave. We all can't be goddamn Dave now, can we? You know what? Fuck it. If you really think you could do so much better, then why don't you just take it from here? Just get off our goddamn backs. We've been under the gun lately. Everything just feels like climbing Mount Everest. Sure, we could have done some things a little better and more carefully, but the pressure of trying to be so goddamn perfect all the fucking time, it's killing us. Now, we probably shouldn't have lost it like that, but writing us about this shit just makes everything worse. How about taking the time to point the things out that we did right for a change? Would that really be so hard? Fucking Christ, the nation added. So, by telling children's stories to the heart of the demon, that's going to make them good. We got to take care of the victims first. We got to take care of ourselves first. Take care of our physical and mental health. Make sure we get plenty of water, food, and sleep. And we got to organize. And we got to buck up, Buttercup. Organize and evolve. And we got to create parallel systems. So why would we have mass movements for the sake of it, a general strike, just so we can do sustained acts of civil disobedience? Those are the means. But I think a brand new constitution, keep all the bills of rights, but let's just get on the same fucking page. Let's come up with 10 categorical imperatives of felonies, crimes that nobody's allowed to do, and let's come up with 10 categorical imperative of the rights and freedoms that we all have. We would rather have a civil society. We'd rather live in peace. So I would rather people pray and speak and to do the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh amendments, eighth amendments. No cruel and unusual punishments. And all the freedoms that are in the Constitution. I'd rather people look at the Constitution, look at the freedoms we have, and start being lawful. You have all these rights. You can do all these things. You can pray. You can speak. You can peacefully assemble. So use your freedoms. Don't maim, don't torture, don't rob or steal, don't rape, murder, don't molest children, don't commit crimes against other people, don't commit injuries against other people. Let's come up with a list of 10 felonies, 10 major mortal crimes that one person can't do to another person. and come up with 10 rights that are the most important rights that we have ever seen. I think the Fifth Amendment, I think the fucking Bill of Rights are so brilliant. James Madison, he's part of the Enlightenment. And then when you think of the Enlightenment and natural law, that means the U.S. Constitution just opens up a world of possibility. So yeah, the Constitution is just regulated to the promises, to the contract, to the promissory note that's before us, the 10 pages or so. But since it was based upon natural law, that gives us Jean-Jacques Rousseau, that gives us Voltaire, it gives us Hobbes and, goddamn Immanuel Kant. Where would we be without that Immanuel Kant? We all need that Immanuel Kant. You can't live without Kant. You can't live with Immanuel Kant, but you also can't live without Immanuel Kant. You know what I'm talking about? A couple other articles on The Nation. America defeats America. Democracy triumphs over long-running democratic experiment. In a historic outcome that promised to halt the rising scourge of the United States in its tracks, America has defeated America at the ballot box. Sources confirmed on Wednesday. After 248 years of tense and often divisive conflict, we can finally say, as of this morning, that the nation turned out at the polls and delivered a decisive blow to the nation, said electoral analyst Kurt Howitzer, describing the results as a remarkable triumph of the democratic experiment over democracy. It's a stunning turn of events. Tireless civil rights crusaders, not so smug now. Oh, you wanted goodness and righteousness. You wanted homes for the houseless. You wanted civil liberties for everybody. You wanted to stop bad things for the general population, and you wanted good things for the people, you asshole. You stuck-up, smug asshole. Mentally broken nation starts dressing and speaking like Frank Sinatra. Oh, fly me to the moon. Da, 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 da. And I did it my way. The Onion is on fire. They also had Elon Musk article where there's like, please be my friend. I'm so lonely. I do everything I can to make you my friend. I really want you to like me. I'm so cool. I'm into so many cool things. I heard that he was big into some fucking gaming thing. So he's doing some like role-playing gaming thing where, see, Elon Musk game. No, actually, I should have just, some articles came up. Elon Musk game. Oh, come on, you son of a bitch. More news. I want to just look through these. Yeah, Diablo number 4. The fight against evil. So not only does he run a bunch of fucking companies, but he's also like a video game extraordinary. He's playing hours and hours of a video game, and he's like top 20 in the world against like a bunch of Asian folks, smart mathematical Asian folks. That's pretty. Wait a second. No, Elon Musk isn't in the world's top 20 Diablo 4 players. Well, which is it? I heard he was 19, and now the gamer is saying that he's not in the top 20. Okay, the headline says it's not, but then it says he is in the top 20 players on the leadership board on HellTide.com, though it includes less than 1,000 players on it, which is less than 6% of the game's latest 24-hour player count, Steam. HellTide.com's co-owner supports Musk's claim, but acknowledges the inability to verify runs not recorded or shared. So Elon Musk is a gamer. That's the main point, right? He plays Assassin's Creed Shadows. So he's playing fucking video games. That's just like AOC and Tim Walz. What game was they were playing? Something Madden stream, Twitch stream. So they were just playing Madden, and then they were playing like a taxi cab driver, taxi, some kind of crazy taxi. Crazy taxi, that's what it's called. So they're playing Madden over Twitch, and they're playing crazy taxi. These are the people running our country. They're all just playing fucking video games and shit, and then just shaking their fist and looking down on us. These are the people that's going to fix our problems. I'm glad that Elon Musk is for the First Amendment. I'm glad that he's a staunch defender of the First Amendment. I love that he's actually defending the First fucking Amendment. I fucking love it. But how much of Elon Musk is going to go into the Donald policies? He's going to put all of his fucking big, rich, fucking goddamn warmongering pieces of shit. He's going to get Pompeo, Bolton. He's going to get all those bastards back into power. So John Cusack, identity. I can't believe how good identity is. There's one guy with 10 identities, and the psychiatrist tells all of his identities should meet at the hotel. And so he gets all 10 of his personalities, and the movie just goes on with the personalities. So you don't even find out that we're all in this guy's head until later on. So John Cusack is like a cop who didn't prevent a suicide, and so he's like a retired cop. But he's actually playing cop because he's the crazy person. We find out that John Cusack is the crazy person at the end. Spoiler alert. But you have Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta was a part of it. Amanda Peet was a part of it. That one guy from Scrubs is a part of it. That one smart-ass, fucking funny-ass guy. And so what's incredible is you have 10 personalities. They're all meeting at the hotel. And then they just start killing each other. In fact, actually, there was one accidental killing. And then there was a couple other ones that had killed each other. But it turns out there was a tiny killer. And the whole fucking movie is just so incredible the way it unravels. I'm going to spoil it even more for you. So you have 10 personalities all meeting at the hotel. They start killing one and then the other. And then another. And then they don't know who it is. And then they turn it on each other. And then they find like a key right on each by the body. And then they go back to the body and the bodies are gone. Like I said, it's all his personalities. So you know something is going on. It's just excellently done. Well, it comes to find out, there is a kid with the mother. And the kid with the mother, he blows up the damn car. He was doing the smothering. He was doing the killings that people couldn't figure out. There was one guy, the cop, there was a guy playing a cop and pretending that his prisoner was his prisoner, but they actually had killed a cop and the dead cop was in the back of the cop car. And then you also had a couple, just a regular couple, and then you had a mother with a son, and then you had the prostitute, John Cusack with the prostitute. Long story short, the prostitute survives everybody. Right? It looks like everybody's dead except for the prostitute. And so now he's going to go to a mental ward. He escaped execution because they said, well, clearly he's crazy. He doesn't really remember. He's got 10 personalities. So one of his personalities killed 10 people in an apartment complex. But he doesn't know which one it was. And he goes between the two different ones. As they're taking him to like a nicer facility, some mental institution, while he's driving, he's sitting there speaking different things. And while he's speaking different things, you have the ending of the movie is the prostitute is going to live. And then she's going to enjoy a nice regular life. So she goes to her house and she's just folding laundry and putting it on a clothesline. Because that's what John Cusack's character was. So out of all of his personalities, you want him to be John Cusack, right? And then he looks in the mirror and is like, where's my face? You took my face away. What happened? Because he wanted to be the hero of the story. And so he killed the guy who was pretending to be a cop because he was the one being the cop. So John Cusack actually ended up kind of killing his own character by killing Ray Liotta. And then the damn door key, they was laid next to the body because it was saying, okay, now the next one, or this is, you know, the number 10 was killed, number 9 was killed. And so basically he's just one guy killing all of his different personalities. So he gets all 10 personalities in a hotel. They start off in each other. The prostitute eventually is going to be the one who looks like she's going to survive. The prostitute looks like she's the one who's going to survive. She's hanging clothes up on the clothesline. She looks like she's got a nice, comfortable life, living in a nice little house. And then in real life, they're taking him to, I think, the mental institute. He's in the back seat of the car. the psychiatrist is there and the driver is there. And the psychiatrist fucks up and opens up the cage and says, hey, Malcolm. He calls him Malcolm because that's his, legal name. And he's saying, hey, Malcolm, what are you going through right now? Because he was just playing this scene in his head. So he was the prostitute. And so he's the prostitute. He's not having a nice little life. It's like, finally, this prostitute, this thing that I wanted so much, he was actually a kid who was dropped off by his prostitute mother at a hotel. And then they all had the same birthdays. And they all had different names of the states that he had driven through. So really, his mother dropping him off at that hotel really fucked with him. It really fucked with Malcolm. But in the deep recesses of his heart, he wanted his mother, the prostitute, to do well. And so he's the hero of the story. He was the cop that killed the bad cop, who was pretending to be the cop that had killed the real cop. And then he died in that gun battle. So John Cusack's character had died in the fight between Ray Liotta and John Cusack, or it looked like he died, and the prostitute looked like she was going to live, but lo and behold, it was the little boy. The little boy. There was 10 rooms, so you had all these different characters. And the mother that was with the son, he had put the mother in the car and it blew up, and the other guy got ran over. The little boy actually survived. He had hit himself. He hit himself off to the side, so when the car blew up, they said, where are the bodies? This is impossible. What's going on? So while the prostitute is sitting there just digging a little fucking garden, she pulls up the key, the last key. Number 1, to room number 1. Well, who else could it possibly be? The little boy had survived, and he's there just like hitting his, palm with the little rake that she was using. And so we don't actually see the murder, but we see him in real life choke the psychiatrist, because ultimately he was that killer kid the whole time. He was that killer kid the whole time. The psychiatrist made a fucking brilliant thing to put all of his personalities, have them all meet at the hotel and have them all talking to each other. So that whole thing, if you just think about how people could have different personalities, but people could, if you're an empath, you could see yourself from another person's perspective. There's something about a house. You could come into the front door. You could come in through the back door. You could look at yourself as if you're a third person from like outer space. You could look at yourself as if you're like person A, person B, person C. So the whole thing, the movie is just unraveling with all these different personalities, and they're having all this conflict, and they're trying to figure out, why does one keep getting killed and the other one keeps getting killed? And they just don't understand it. I was at this hotel, man, and then people just started dying, and we didn't understand why. They just started getting, and then it basically mimics what he had did at that apartment complex, but he disassociated himself, and so he would play these different personalities. Just a brilliant fucking movie. It was scary. It's a psychological thriller. Meet Joe Black. I had no idea about this Brad Pitt movie, but he's death. So there was dinner with death. Oh, we have future arrangements, he tells the businessman. Death takes the body of a man who was killed. She was in love with the man who had been killed just previously. And so he took the body of the man who gets hit by these cars, and then he's just walking around, and Bill, an old man, Anthony Hopkins, was like, just don't kill my daughter. And then he actually spared the daughter's life. So in a way he was thinking about, and then he walks over the hill with Bill, and then Bill dies, and then death leaves the body behind and lets Susie, I think, the woman that he was in love with, death fell in love. Death was at the hospital. This older woman says she was in so much pain and she wanted to be, she wanted comfort, and he kind of hugged her, and he was like, soon. It looked like he was about to take her life right then and there, but ultimately he was just saying, death is near, but I'm not going to do it right here, right now. And he says that I think it's inappropriate that I'm here at this hospital with you. R.I.P. to Petunia, Malcolm, and Malia. Malia, these are just great puppies. Malcolm, Petunia, Malia. Also Innocence and Bobby and Rosa. So when you have despair, People grab onto a cult leader thinking that the cult leader, we are the ones that we have been waiting for. So we need to empower ourselves, empower our friends, create parallel systems until we can get a brand new constitution by having a list of categorical imperatives of the rights that you cannot infringe upon and the felonies that you can't do to each other. We're both saying, here's what you can do, here's what you can't do. When I keep reading Hobbes, man, Hobbes and natural law is just so fucking brilliant. Positive civil laws are based upon natural law. The sovereign, technically, you have to obey the sovereign in civil society, but the sovereign can't break natural laws. So in some respects, natural laws are off the table because we got these civil positive laws, but the civil positive laws are based upon the logic and rationality of the natural laws. And then the sovereign can make you do this, A, B, C, and D, but he can't make you hurt yourself. He can't make you hurt somebody you love or care about. So what that is saying is, if they try to do something against you, you have a right to resist. And then that goes back to the state of nature. Force versus force. Who is going to win? When it comes to international law, one sovereign is in a state of nature with another sovereign. So all these sovereigns are in a state of nature. So if we actually lived in a civil society, you got to obey the sovereign. You got to obey the president, the governor, the mayor, judge, magistrate, commissioners, whoever's the leader of the executive branch in your particular precinct, in your particular district. Lisa Marie Presley, she kept her dead son's body for 2 months. Just holding on. Ted Cruz fucking won. Can you fucking believe that shit? Fucking Carrie Lake lost. So I think a smartly and thoughtfully constructed brand new constitution is what we need. There's a lot of good things. People want to overthrow the whole damn apple cart. But are you going to get rid of the Bill of Rights? You're going to get rid of the 3 branches of government? That's a lot of good things. Man, I'll do a separate one. Freddie Fred is coming up next. Named after Fred Hampton.